everyone. So today's literacy lesson, we're going to be going through some more features of a comic strip. Now we've had a little look at speech bubbles, we've had a little look at captions, but we're just going to go through some more features of a comic strip. And then we're going to be planning our own comic strip ready for writing this week. Okay, so good listening. Okay, so we know already that a comic strip is a sequence of drawings that are arranged into little panels or boxes, and they tell us a story, don't they? Okay, so the first thing is that a story in a comic is written in a short narrative, and that just means it's not a really long story. It doesn't have lots of detail and description about what people and places look like we would if we read a normal storybook. It's quite a short story, okay? And when we tell the story, we use little caption boxes, just like you practice writing on Monday this week. And those boxes, those little captions, are what the narrator would be saying. I wonder if anybody could tell me what the narrator is, or who the narrator is. Just pause the video, have a little think. Okay, well done if you said. The narrator is the person telling the story. They're moving the story on. Okay, and so that we don't get mixed up, the captions tend to be in different coloured boxes to show that they're different to the speech that's being said. So if you have a look on here, you can see the captions are in a yellow box rather than a white one like the speech bubbles. And that's just so we don't get muddled up when we're reading our comic. Okay, so yesterday we looked at speech bubbles, and we know that speech bubbles are usually in a round or a square shape, and they usually have a little tail like this, pointing to the person who is speaking, who is saying those words. We also might see some thought bubbles, and they look like they're in a cloud because they're what we're thinking and not saying out loud. So some examples here. So these are things that people are thinking, they're not actually saying the words. Another feature of a comic strip is the use of action words. Now action words tell the reader about sounds that can be heard in a comic strip, and they're usually in a jagged splat, and the letters are all in capitals, and quite often an exclamation mark might be used. So these are things like bang or crash. You might have seen them in some of your comics. Okay, so now that we've had a little recap about some of the features we might see in a comic strip, we're going to have a go at planning our own. Now to do this, we're going to use our story Toys in Space. Now I've uploaded the video for you to your Google Classroom. I'd like you to just watch it again and remind yourself about what happened in the story. And then once you've done that, we're going to choose our favourite part that you would like to put into a comic strip. Okay, so I've chosen one of the first pages for my comic strip. And I like this page because we're just starting to get to know who the characters in the story are. Now if we look at the picture of this page of the story, I can see there's lots of speech bubbles. I can see there's lots of different characters I can include. And I can see that there's also some writing that I could turn into captions. Okay, so just a quick reminder, what features you should include in your comic strip. You should have pictures, you should have speech bubbles, you should have captions, and you should have separate boxes for your picture and your caption. Okay, so I've got a little bit of my plan here, and what we're going to do is I want you to have a little look at my first box and think about what I've included in there. So if you remember, I was going to do this page as my comic strip. Okay, so I can see I've got Underdoll, I've got the horse, I've got the robot, I've got the dinosaur. So in my first box, I'm going to have a picture of Underdoll and the robot. And I know I'm going to have two lots parts of speech, one from the Wonder Doll and one from the robot. And in this bottom box, I'm going to have my caption. Okay, so I'm going to have a little bit of writing that's telling the story. Okay, so I've just put my picture here to help. So for example, I know that the robot says, "What's those?" So in my speech bubble from the robot, I would have, "What's those?" So you can see it. Okay, so he will say, "What's those?" Now on here, Wonder Doll doesn't actually say anything, but I'm going to have it so Wonder Doll says, "I'm not sure." Okay, and then my caption will be something like, "The Wonder Doll thought for a moment, and then she began." Okay, so as you can see, I've just taken that from here. Okay, so I would recommend choosing a page that has a little bit more writing than this one does, and then you'll find it easier to turn them into captions. If you do pick a page like I did that doesn't have lots of writing on, you can just create your own little captions, and that's absolutely fine. Okay, but you need to be planning what picture you're going to have, what caption you're going to write, and what your speech bubbles are going to say. Okay, I look forward to seeing your plans and what you come up with.